Hey everybody, it's Miss Megan and it is story time. This week we have been talking all about fairy tales. What are some of your favorite fairy tales? The Three Little Pigs, Three Billy Goats Gruff, The Gingerbread Man, Red Riding Hood. Maybe yours are the Disney ones like Snow White or Cinderella. Fairy tales are stories that are normal, they're made up. They have lots of magic in them. Sometimes they have funny names. Like I've never heard anybody else called Cinderella or Snow White. That's kind of a funny name for them. A lot of times they have animals in them, and animals are doing things that they don't normally do. I have never seen Three Little Pigs actually build a house, so I know that it's a made up story. Fairy tales also normally start with once upon a time or in a land far, far away because there's something that's different. It's something normally for fun. Sometimes fairy tales teach us lessons, like today's fairy tale. We're going to talk about Goldilocks and the Three Little Bears. We also talked about characters, the people or animals that are in our story. So when we had the gingerbread man, we had the old man and his wife, we had the gingerbread, and then we had some animals that he saw. Cats, he saw dogs, in one story he sees a cow, but then he meets a fox, and the fox is the one that ends up eating him at the end. Those different characters in the story are the people or animals that are living and doing things in our story. But we also talked about the setting of a story. And the setting is where it's taking place. It can be when it's taking place. Is it taking place in the morning? Is it taking place at night? Is it in the summer or is it in the winter? But where is it happening? Is it in the ocean like Nemo, or is it in a little cottage in the woods like Snow White? So our setting is where and when our story is happening. And sometimes the setting can change during the story. Like it might start off in a castle and then they end up in the woods like Snow White. She starts off in a castle and then she ends up in the woods with the seven dwarfs. So the setting can change. The plot is what's happening in the story. Now, a story can have a beginning, then it has a middle, and then it has an end. And if I'm paying attention in a story and I'm listening to what's happening, I should be able to retell that story. If it's my favorite story, I can tell you all about it. Miss Megan has read and seen so many fairy tales. Like I can tell you all the details that happen in Snow White because it's one of my favorite fairy tales. I can tell you what happens in the beginning, I can tell you what happens in the middle, and I can tell you what happens in the end. So while you're listening or you're reading stories, we're paying attention to all of these great details. The characters, who's in the story, the setting, where is it happening, and the plot, what's happening in the story, can help me remember and retell the story. So today's story is Goldilocks and the Three Bears. And I'm going to read it from Arthur's Really Helpful Bedtime Stories. And it's by Mark Brown. So these stories, some of the characters have changed because it's Arthur and his friends acting out the stories. I told you this week too that sometimes books have a special section called the table of contents. And this is a very helpful part of a book because since this book has lots of different fairy tales and I'm trying to read one special one today, I need to know what page to turn to. So it's got the titles of the book and a page number next to it. So today I'm going to read this one. It's called DW and the Three Bears because DW is going to play Goldilocks. And I see that it starts on page 22. So I can turn to page 22 to find our story. Here it is. All right, snuggle up close and let's read DW and the Three Bears. Now remember, let's see if we can keep up with the characters, the setting, and the plot. What happened in the beginning, what happened in the middle, and what happened at the end. Are you ready? There once was a little girl named DW who often did the opposite of what she was told. When her mother explained that she had to be gentle with some toys, she played roughly with them until they broke. If her father said that a fresh batch of cookies was too hot to eat, she always took a bite anyway. And when her big brother warned her about reading scary stories at bedtime, DW read the scariest stories she could find, even though they gave her bad dreams. One day, DW went out for a walk in the woods. Her mother told her not to go far, so naturally, DW wandered farther than she'd ever gone before. She came upon a little cottage where the door was open. A delicious smell was coming from inside. Now, DW had been told many times not to go into strange houses, so of course, that was the first thing she did. Inside, she found 3 bowls of oatmeal cooling on the table. She took a taste from the biggest bowl. Ooh, it was too hot. She took a taste from the medium-sized bowl, but it was too cold. Then she took a taste from the smallest bowl. Just right, she decided, and gobbled it up quickly. Then she went into the living room. There she saw 3 chairs, but the biggest chair was too hard. The medium-sized chair was too soft. The smallest one, though, looked just right. But when DW sat down on it, the chair broke into pieces. They sure don't make things like they used to, she said as she picked herself up off the floor. Upstairs, DW found 3 beds in a row. She bounced on the first bed. Too hard. She bounced on the second bed. It was softer, but not quite right. And the third bed, though, was perfect. In fact, she bounced on it so long that she got so tired. And snuggling under the blanket, DW fell fast asleep. While DW was sleeping, the family of 3 bears returned to their cottage, and they noticed at once that all was not well. "Someone's been eating my oatmeal," said Big Papa Bear. "Someone's been eating my oatmeal too," said middle-sized Mama Bear. "Someone's been eating my oatmeal," said Little Baby Bear, "and they've eaten it all up." The 3 bears then went into their living room. "I think someone's been sitting in my big chair," said Papa Bear. "Someone's been sitting in my chair too," said Mama Bear. "And someone's been sitting in my little chair," said Baby Bear, "and it's broken all apart." Clump. The bears were not happy about this, so they marched upstairs to see what else might be wrong. Clump, clump, clump. "Someone's been sleeping in my bed," roared Papa Bear. "Someone's been sleeping in my bed too," growled Mama Bear. "Someone's been sleeping in my bed," gasped Baby Bear. "And she's still there. Look at her." The 3 angry bears stood by Baby Bear's bed, and they glared down at DW. And just then she opened her eyes. "Oh my," she cried, "I'm in big trouble." She leapt up, bouncing past the bears from one bed to the next. Then she ran down the stairs and out the front door. The 3 bears never saw the girl again, and they didn't miss her one bit. And as for DW herself, she got herself home safely before dark. The very next day, she began to do everything that she had been told, except that she refused to eat oatmeal ever again. The end. All right, so let's put our thinking caps on. Who are the characters in our story? We have DW, we have Papa Bear, Mama Bear, and Baby Bear. So we have 4 characters. What is our setting? Most of the story takes place in the bear's house. She goes from the kitchen to the living room to the bedroom, right? And then at the very end, she goes all the way back home. So we know our setting. Well, what happened in our story? Well, we found out in the beginning that DW didn't listen and follow directions, right? She didn't listen to what her mother or her father told her. And then in the middle of the story, we saw all the things that she did in the bear's house. She ate their porridge, she sat in the chair and broke the baby's chair, and then she went to sleep in the baby's bed. And at the end of the story, we found out that they all came home. Were they happy about her being in their house? Nope. And when DW woke up, she saw 3 angry bears staring at her, and she ran out. So when I can break the story apart and retell what happened, then I know that I understood the story. And if I can tell all those details, I know I really understand it. I have a better understanding of the story. I hope you like this. Today in the slides, there's lots of activities to do with Goldilocks. There's a sensory box, there's a bear craft, there's the song Going on a Bear Hunt. So be sure to check out all the special activities. I hope you've had fun, and I hope you find some other fairy tales that you really, really enjoy. See you soon, guys. Bye.